Did you know one of the best fossil beds of Cambrian aquatic fossils is in the mountains of Yoho National Park? If you remember from the last chapter when we talked about the Cambrian explosion, we're going to go into that in much more detail today. So, the process by which any trace of the existence of ancient life is preserved within a rock is known as fossilization. So, an organism will go through the process of life, death, be buried, be preserved, it's discovered, and then we recover that fossilized evidence. So there are two general processes that form fossils. One is petrification, which occurs when organic remains turn to stone. So petrified woods and petrified bones are examples of this, where the wood and bones are replaced by agate rock. Carbonization occurs when pressure causes a thin carbon film to form around an organism, and this allows for the preservation of soft-bodied organisms like jellyfish. Typically, fossils are found in limestone, shale, or sandstone, so all different types of sedimentary rock. And paleontologists classify the fossils into four types. We have fossil remains, which are dinosaur bones and teeth, things like that. Imprint or mold fossils, like a leaf print or a leaf print. Cast fossils, which is where a mouth cavity would have filled with sediment. And trace fossils, so tracks, footprints, or burrows of organisms that used to live. So those are our four different types of fossils. The Burgess Shale in Yoho National Park is a Cambrian aged rock in the Rocky Mountains. The Burgess Shale is full of fossils from a warm, shallow water body and also deep water creatures that lived in a reef structure. So, one theory is that a large mud avalanche buried the creatures in the Burgess Shale and that they all became fossilized, which is why there's such a large gathering of them. Canadia belongs to a group of works that are the marine equivalent of common earthworms, and they first appear in the fossil method more than 500 million years ago. So, we often need to compare fossils to living organisms because some information is not preserved in the fossil record. For example, like there's in this organism, there was no hard parts found. Another fossil is called hallucigenia. Now, the fossil left by hallucigenia is so scant, it's hard to interpret the evidence that suggests the organism's lifestyle. So there's so little evidence of its life, we can't really understand what its um, niche was in the environment. Did it swim? Did it crawl? Did it live on other organisms? Because there's very little fossil left for us to identify. So the Cambrian explosion is a period that marks the beginning of the Paleozoic era. So this was the end of the Precambrian era. And it's the first appearance of a wide variety of animals with hard body parts, such as shells. So some scientists think that the biological diversification occurred at this point because atmospheric oxygen levels finally reached a concentration high enough to support the more active metabolism of mobile creatures. So creatures were able to be larger and move around because there was enough oxygen in the atmosphere. So the Burgess Shale is a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to the amazing collections of fossils that are there, which have great scientific significance. It's suspected that the organisms on the Burgess Shale were caught in an underwater mud avalanche, which helped to create one of the most extensive and best preserved Cambrian fossil beds on Earth. So that's our lesson on the Burgess Shale and fossil records today. I hope you enjoyed it.